Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Every Damn Week podcast. Let's get into grit. Now, grit is an add-on to discipline. There's a relationship between the two that I want to dive into here. Now, I'm not going to talk about discipline again. I just did that a couple weeks ago. If you want to watch that episode, go right here. But what I want to do is I will remind you of the quote that Jim Rohn had about discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. And that underscores how it's a crucial link that transforms our intentions into results. Now, I want to add on to that and say grit is the fuel that powers discipline over time. This connects discipline with grit in that grit is what keeps you disciplined in the long run, especially when you're facing challenges and setbacks. Now, let's get into the definition, the actual definition of grit. And I want to share the way that psychologist Angela Duckworth describes grit. And she says, grit is the combination of passion and perseverance for long-term goals. It's about maintaining consistent effort and interest over years, despite failures, adversity, and plateaus. And I want to give you another quote that will help us to define grit from Angela Duckworth. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. And that really sets the stage, because if you remember, I talked about before how a marathon runner, motivation gets them started. Discipline will keep them going. Grit pulls them to the finish line. Grit is the fuel that's going to keep them going to the finish line and keep them from quitting. So I want to give you a couple of examples of grit, and then we'll dive into a little more detail here. So the first person that I thought of for amazing grit, Michael Jordan. That is someone who, just despite the odds, he had pure grit. I'm going to share a quote from him. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. It is grit sustained by discipline that drove him to greatness, despite the failures. Then there's also another person that I thought of, J.K. Rowling. Rowling was not a success out the gate in writing the Harry Potter series. She was rejected over and over and over again. So I want to share a quote from her. J.K. Rowling once said, "Failure meant a stripping away of the inessential." And this highlights how her grit allowed her to just turn repeated failures into eventual success. She didn't let the failures stop her. She didn't let that take that fuel away. The grit was there to keep going and going and going. I want to share a little bit of science here, just a few stats that will help us to understand a few things here. There's a meta-analysis of about 127 studies that was done. It discussed the findings from Harvard Business School, where they did the study of 127 different studies that involved over 45,000 participants, revealing that grit, particularly when coupled with passion, significantly predicts higher performance across various domains. This research highlights while perseverance is crucial, it's the passion for one's goals that amplifies grit's effectiveness. I'm going to dive into passion a little more here as well. Now, I've got one more quote I want to share from Angela Duckworth here. Enthusiasm is common. Endurance is rare. This is a reminder that while many people are strong, they start off strong, the ability to endure and that truly defines grit. To endure the failures and the toughness and the setbacks. Grit helps you to, I want to say, ignore it, because that's really what you have to do, to ignore those struggles. Just push those aside, get them out of your vision, out of your path. They're going to show up. You need to be prepared for them. You need to prepare yourself for those failures that are going to happen. Don't go in expecting things to always be 100% perfect. It's not always going to be that way. Now, what I want to do is I want to talk about grit in the 3 different domains: the physical, the mental, and the spiritual domain. I want to dive into, how does grit apply to these 3 areas? A lot of us are familiar with physical grit. Okay, that and you think about that as athletes like Michael Jordan, physical grit. What does that look like here? Well, it's when you have grit, there's consistency in training. Remember what I've said. Consistency is undefeated. Showing up regularly, even when the motivation is low. Remember, motivation is the starter. It gets you started. You may have low motivation in getting you started, but that physical grit is going to push you through the fatigue. It's going to push you through your soreness. And when you're tempted to skip a workout, grit's going to be what gets you through. From a personal perspective, for me, the personal example I have for grit is my recent 366-day fitness challenge. To be able to do something of fitness for 366 days straight takes grit. There were times where, I kind of plateaued in my results, in weight loss, in muscle growth. There were times when I had, mild injuries, or I was getting signs of injury, that I was, getting warnings of things, which happened recently, as a matter of fact. I had moments of doubt of myself early on. Can I really do this? Is it possible to do this? But grit pushed me through it. Grit, when I had those challenges, pushed me through every single one of those things that got thrown in my way. Wake up one morning and I don't feel like going. The discipline got me out the door. The grit got what put me through that 90-minute workout. Because I had a passion, I had a desire to finish that workout and add that to my 366 days. It was that grit that pushed me to get it done. I'm going to give you an example of someone who just epitomizes grit. David Goggins. He embodies physical grit. You think about it. How many times did he go through Navy SEAL training? 3 times. He failed out twice and finally got through the 3rd time. And then there's all the challenges that he did working towards the ultra marathons that he would do. The man, he just won't quit. He sees the goal, and grit just pushes him to get there every single time. David Goggins once said, "The most important conversations you'll ever have are the ones you'll have with yourself." This epitomizes that internal struggle, that battle that you have in your head, where grit is going to be the actual ammunition to overcome and win in that battle. It will help take the mind into the physical and take you there. Endurance is a part of this, and the role of physical endurance in building grit is so critical. Think about a marathon again. I brought this up. Consistently training to go to the marathon. And when you're doing the actual marathon, you have to endure. You'll have to ignore the pain at times. That's hard. That's hard. I did a 5K. That's nothing compared to a marathon. But when I did my first 5K, I ran the whole way through, very first time. And man, I really, really had to push myself through that. Grit is what kept me going to the finish line because my shins were hurting, my feet were hurting, my heart was racing. I was just challenged beyond belief, but I endured. I endured all the way to the end. I didn't have to crawl, but I certainly was not running at full speed when I got to the end. Yeah, this is a 5K, and I was a little heavier at that point. Probably do a little better now because I've been doing better with my running over the last few years. But even on those tough days when you're training and you endure, the grit is what's going to help you get there. Physical grit also has a recovery and adaptation component to it. Now, this is the one thing you have to recognize. Now, 366 days of fitness, I'll admit there were a few days here and there where I had to dial it back, where I'm just doing a walk. I do my 2-mile walk. And that was my lowest, my least acceptable that I could do to chalk it off as a fitness day. And I recently had to do that because my lower back was giving me issues and I had to slow things down. I had to give it time to heal because if I didn't, then I'm going to end up blowing my goal of 1,000 days. This is after the 366 days were completed. And so you need to have those recovery and adaptation periods in order to come back stronger. It helps you reinforce what's in your mind, but it also helps your body recover and get back on track. Grit is not about reckless perseverance, but about smart endurance. Listen to your body. Be smart about your grit. Do not, there's a point when you do need to push through the pain. But if you're just simply training, you don't need to. When you see your limits, dial it back, recover, and push the ceiling again the next time. Push it further and further every single time. Get stronger and push that limit further. When you hit that limit and you're about to break, you know you got to back off. I mean, when you're in the race and you're in the marathon or in your whatever, when the actual event is there, try not to injure yourself, but you're going to push a little harder than you would if you're just training. So make sure to make time for recovery. Now, let's shift gears a little bit here away from the physical domain. Let's talk about the mental domain. Let's talk about cognitive endurance. There is a need for mental stamina, and especially in tasks that are requiring prolonged focus, such as like studying or writing or problem solving. This is one of the things I do with my podcasts or with the book that I'm writing. I block out time and I need to stay focused and work through that period of time. And I make sure to dial in that razor sharp focus as much as I can to build that endurance. Because if I'm continually interrupting my train of thought, I'm not going to produce the results I want. Grit pushes me there. Thomas Edison is a great example of grit mentally. Now, he didn't just figure out the light bulb like that. So here's a quote for him. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That's absolutely true. That shows endurance, because you are able to look at the failures and go, that didn't work. What's next? That's the kind of grit you need to have mentally. You also need to be adaptable. Things change. Life is never going to be the way you expect it every single day. It's always going to have a challenge thrown before you. You need to adapt. You need to make changes to how you're going to accomplish your goal as things change. New challenges, new setbacks, and failures occur. You adjust your strategy as you need to in the face of those setbacks. For me, building mental and emotional resilience, I didn't have grit for that before every damn day. I was lacking in that area. And after about 7 months of going to the gym for 5 days a week in my first challenge that I did over 5 years ago, I reached a point where I needed more than just the physical grit that I had developed. I needed the mental and the emotional grit, all of that. So what did I do? I started journaling every single day. I started reading every single day. I followed self-improvement practices that I could find. I can't tell you how much this helped me. This desire to grow and to learn. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. But one of the things that helped me as well was having an accountability group. I had an accountability. Actually, I have 2 accountability groups that I have, and both of them are critical to my development. Having these people where I can share my wins and losses, I basically, they keep me accountable and they keep me on track, and it pushes me and helps create that grit that I need. And then the last thing in here is you need mindset maintenance. What do I mean by that? It's important that we have a growth mindset. This is what I was talking about a minute ago. Growth, when you're thinking about growing as an individual, you find opportunities to grow, to be better, to be stronger every single time. And when you finally look at challenges as opportunities instead of as threats, this is something I had to work on. Whenever I get a hurdle thrown in my way, I'm like, dang it, that in my way again, instead of going, oh, how can I learn to get around this and get past it? I'll share an example of how I did that here in just a minute when we get into spiritual. In fact, let's dive into the spiritual domain. So one of the things about the spiritual grit you're talking about here is maintaining faith in spiritual practices, even during difficult times. I'll talk about that in just a second here too. It could be through prayer, meditation, reflection. The perseverance sustains your spiritual growth. A personal story here. It was over 3 years ago. My father took a fall that sent him to the hospital, and then we had him in a recovery center for a while. And while he was in the recovery center, he had his lungs filled with fluid, and he went septic. And they rushed him to the ER of the hospital. And during that time when me and my sister were there, we didn't know he was going to make it. Eventually, he was taken up to ICU and went into a coma. And he was there for 8 days. And during those 8 days, because of all the work I had done in my first 2-year every damn day challenge, I had prepared myself to be ready for those challenges that hit. I needed to have faith that we were going to be able to figure things out, because he had no will. He had no power of attorney. He was living on his own. He had an apartment and he's on a fixed income. We needed to have the time we needed to make adjustments and make changes. If he survived, we needed to be able to put him in a facility that could take care of him for the rest of his life. I had to build grit through my faith. My spiritual grit was developed through my faith. I had faith that I'd be able to take care of everything and that we'd have the time we needed. And we did. We did. And that grit helped me. Another example, another great and amazing example is Nelson Mandela. 27 years in prison as a political prisoner. Okay. And he's a powerful testament to the strength of holding on to your beliefs despite overwhelming adversity. Mandela once said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." And he said this as he was reflecting a deep resilience required in spiritual faith. And he had that faith and eventually became president of South Africa after he was released. And amazing man, great example of spiritual grit. Part of this is moral integrity. Spiritual grit involves adhering to your moral values, sticking to those and not giving up on those. Despite the pressures you may feel from society. Society sometimes comes to us and says, it's okay. You don't have to do this. Everybody else is doing it. Why not you? No, you don't have to. You can stick to your values. Have your faith be your guide. Spiritual grit is about holding on to and growing through your convictions. So focus on ways to build your spiritual grit. We'll talk about a couple things here in a minute on how you do that. So let's ask this question. Why do we want to quit? Grit means you're not going to quit. So if you don't have grit, what are you more likely to do? Well, one of the reasons, some of the common things that happen in these circumstances, when you don't have grit, burnout. You burn out. It's part of what I was talking about recovery. It's not just the physical, but there's mental and spiritual recovery you need to do too here. Because if you burn out, you lose you rupture the gas tank. If you rupture the gas tank, all the fuel comes out. There goes your grit. Okay? Fear of failure could also be a common challenge that'll make your grit bust your gas tank. Lack of progress. You're stuck. You feel like you're not making progress. Sometimes at the gym, I feel like I'm not making any progress. But remember, consistency is undefeated. If you remember that, then there's your refueling of grit. But again, to overcome some of these challenges, make sure you're actually working on trying to recover from time to time. Personally, I remember that 5K that I did, that very first 5K that I did. Oh man, I made the promise to myself that I was going to run the whole thing. And I did run the whole thing. But man, I wanted to quit when I got down to that last mile. That last mile, I wanted to quit. In that last 1,000 feet, man, that was tough. But I remembered my why. I promised everybody here, I promised myself, I promised my family, I promised my friends that I was going to do it, that I was going to make it all the way without stopping. And I did it. And boy, did it feel good at the end. So here's some strategies on how you can cultivate grit. So first of all, embrace discomfort. Yeah, you're going to feel pain sometimes. Yes, you're going to feel miserable. It's not grit is not the cure-all. It's not ibuprofen. It's not Tylenol. Grit is going to create some pain. You need to embrace it. Embrace the discomfort. It's a path for growth, folks. Stepping out of your comfort zone is essential for building the resilience you need to have. And it creates more grit. I've said this on many occasions for many other things. Set small, achievable goals, like I did for 366 days of fitness. It started as 60 days, then became 90, then it was the end of 2023, and then it became a year. Start small. 366 is small, leading up to 1,000. So I'm still doing small goals that are achievable. And I know I can make 1,000 because if I can do 366, 1,000 is certainly possible. Reconnect with your why. Sometimes you need to sit down and revisit your why. Remind yourself of why you're doing this. The why creates your passion. It reignites it when you think about it. And then you persevere because, I think about it for myself, that 366 days, I wanted that. I wanted that. And by reminding myself of my why, that I wanted to do this, that's how I got it done. And that's the grit that I needed. Stay disciplined. Discipline and grit connect together. Daily discipline is crucial to building grit. Without discipline, there is no grit, folks. There is no grit without discipline. You must have discipline first. If you don't have that, get it. Then you move up to grit. Grit builds and grows. This is how you develop fuel. You must consistently practice this skill. This is why I'm still doing the 1,000-day challenge. I must stay disciplined. I must do it every single day. Something. Discipline builds endurance. It's needed to achieve long-term goals, folks. You cannot get there without discipline and grit. And then get your support. Seek support. Have an accountability group. Share your goals with your family, your wife, your children, your friends. A mentor, community. Accountability helps you sustain perseverance. Because if you're open and sharing this with everybody, then it's no longer a solo journey, is it? Your grit should not be a solo journey. You should be public with everything you're trying to do goal-wise. The support from others is going to help make the difference. That adds to the grit fuel that you have. So a couple of actionable takeaways I'm going to suggest to you here. So here's some tips for you. Journal. I've talked about this before, journaling. This can help. It not only allows you to track your daily progress and your setbacks, but you can also write down ideas that you get on how to make improvements. It reinforces the mental grit. Mental grit is needed for a lot of this, and this helps you. The journaling helps you stay on course. Meditation. Meditation helps you to clear your head, to provide mindfulness and relax you, takes your stress away and maintain the focus. By doing this, you build mental resilience. You get that clarity. You maintain it, and especially in the difficult times, I found meditation really helped. Just get away from everything and just have 10, 15 minutes of clarity. It helps. Find role models. Find people who appeal to you or who are like you, who you think that these people exemplify grit. And if in whatever area that it is, you need that grit in, whether it's physical fitness, maybe David Goggins is a great one. Look for others that could help you as well in other areas, business, sports, personal development. Look for someone who's a motivator for you in your personal life. Someone you go, I want to be just like that person. I want to be like them when I grow up. Even if you're 50 like me, or even if you're 80, it doesn't matter. You want somebody to look up to, and I want to be like that person when I grow up. I have a few select people in my world that are that way for me. They're my role models. And then challenges. Create some challenges for yourself. Present yourself with a grit challenge for the week. Take on a small, manageable adversity that you could do, and reflect on the experience afterwards. And share the progress on social media. Share it with your accountability group. Just put that out there. But just don't avoid challenges. Don't avoid them. Put yourself out there and face life. Life is a challenge. Everything we do in life is a challenge. Go out there, face it, build that grit, build that resilience. Everyone, I never really understood grit fully until I completed my 366 days of fitness. That was the great experiment. I wasn't necessarily looking for the largest amount of fat loss. I wasn't looking for the largest amount of muscle growth. I was looking for the amount of transformation. Overall, everything. And I discovered not only was my discipline there, that it grew, my grit grew with it. And it was grit that got me there. It's going to be grit that's going to get me to my 1,000-day goal. Grit is the fuel. Drink it. Consume it. Soak it up. Let it fuel your passion for that end goal that you have. Let grit push you to the finish line. Thank you for watching again, and take care. We'll see you next week.